Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the KS Moto Cafe. I know what you guys are thinking after watching that intro. What the hell did I get myself into now? And let me tell you, after doing a motorcycle interview review video with Jamie, who is the co-owner of TractionWerks Moto Guild, that teaches all types of riders in all sizes how to corner properly on a racetrack. And he had an opening for TractionWerks introduction course, which is cornering 101, and he invited me to come out. And I was like, what? You sure you want a Sportster Iron 83 on a racetrack? And he's like, yeah, he highly encourages it because he wants to prove to everyone that all types of riders and all types of bikes are welcome to his course on a racetrack. So that's exactly what I did. And yeah, let me tell you, it was quite the experience. What? Oh, I should have paid more attention in class. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm on my own. Fuck me. Fuck me. So in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is how my Sportster Iron 83 handled on the racetrack, what the course curriculum looked like for me, and I'm going to talk about what type of gear that I brought to the course and which ones got rejected so that I had to actually end up getting new types of riding gear specifically to go on the racetrack. And then I'm going to provide you guys a quick comparison between my first lap and the last lap on the course, just to give you guys a little bit of visual presentation on how I improved as a rider in terms of cornering. So it's a very exciting first experience as a beginner rider who has probably the least track friendly motorcycle, but I did it, I'm alive, and I'm happy to share this with you. So without further ado, let's get going.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off again.
So to start things off, let's talk about the course curriculum. And in total, there's about 4 sessions that's run. Each session starts out with a classroom portion, which is about 15 minutes. They go through the fundamentals of cornering and 1 or 2 goals or items that the instructors want you to try or focus on. For example, the first session was going around the track, just getting familiar with the layout of the track. And they really didn't want you to change the gear or use the brake systems. And that was quite the challenge for me, because the engine braking on a Harley Iron 83 isn't that great. The track session is about 20 to 30 minutes. The track that I was on is about 2.4 kilometers in length, and depending on how fast you're going around the tracks, you're roughly doing 5 to 8 laps. And once the track session is done, you get about 5 minutes with your instructor, and they go over what they saw you do wrong and points of improvement for the next session. And then it repeats for the second, third, and then the last session, each session tackling different parts of cornering fundamentals. So let's talk about gear. What kind of gear do you need to go on this course or on a track? Well, one, you needed a full face helmet, which is what I wear all the time, so that was pretty easy. You need a riding jacket and pants that zips up, preferably leather, but textile is accepted, however, no jeans. So that's the problem with the gear that I brought, because my pants, which is made out of jean material with riding knee pads on them, it wasn't accepted for the course, so I had to borrow a full sport bike leather suit, which was very rigid and uncomfortable to put on, but once I had it on and it kind of warmed up to my body, it was actually pretty comfortable, and I felt pretty confident that if I did fall out of my bike and skidded across the course, that my skin would be saved. So I can see why it was recommended to wear leather full suit, because it's going to protect your skin. You also need riding gloves that covers your wrists, and luckily I had these gloves that had a lot of protection on my knuckles and my palms. It also conveniently covered my wrist. If you want to know what these gloves are, you can check out Foggy Garage, and I'll put that link link below. But I've been test trialing these gloves for over a month now, and I can tell you that it's really comfortable to wear, and also it has a lot of protection. Lastly, you need riding boots that covers your ankles or protects your ankles, which I have Army combat boots that I use regularly for my riding, and it was accepted, so it's good. I know some track days or tracks don't allow laces, so you just have to look out for that. And then lastly, I know we're talking about gear, but in preparation, your motorcycle needs to be taped up. And this could be different from track to track or course to course, but for this particular course, I needed to tape up the mirrors, the lights, and speedometer. I think it's just to take away the distraction to the rider and just focus on the cornering. Pretty sure you can keep the speedometer open when you go on the regular track day. So I think that taping up was just for the course itself. And then your license plate removed. That part I don't really know why. Maybe it was just adding extra weight. Who knows? So overall, like, I was able to go on the track, which was good. Thank goodness someone had extra leathers for me to borrow that day. So let's talk about my experience on the track for the first time. Well, let me tell you, the first lap was intense. Not in a sense that I was going extremely fast or anything like that. It was actually the opposite. I was going really slow. But because everything was taped up, including the mirrors, I couldn't see what was behind me. And the instructors were telling us not to shoulder check because the etiquette on a racetrack is you only have to worry about what's in front of you and not what's behind you. So not being able to shoulder check going in turns or getting into a track was quite a hard habit to shake off, just because it goes against my natural instinct of wanting to shoulder check before I go into a lane or a corner. And because of the mirrors are taped up, you also can't cheat by just using your peripheral vision to see what's beside you or behind you. Also, because the speedometer is taped up, you also don't know how fast you're going, and that was quite difficult for me to adopt on the first few laps of the course. One thing that I noticed on my first few laps was that I had this extreme tunnel vision, and the reason for that was there are markers on the track where the instructors place for the ideal entrance point of the turn, the apex of the corner, and then the exit point of the corner. So it was really easy for me to have target fixation to those pylons and the X marks. So while I was so hyper focused on those points, I realized everything was blurred out, and I realized that was kind of something that I had to learn to expand my vision, and they kind of teach you that in the later sessions to notice more other things while you're riding on the track at a higher speed. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me, where it was so easy to have tunnel vision on the tracks. And then I remember scraping the pegs on, I think, the fourth turn of the course. And yeah, it was no surprise, but it didn't feel that good. And my body was pretty tense going around most corners because I was anticipating the peg scrape. Ooh. See, the real limitation is the damn bike. I can't lean any further because it keeps on hitting the pegs. But that was only the first session. After a second and third session, I got used to scraping the pegs and I was able to relax a bit, although my ears were pretty annoyed. Yeah, see? And then the last thing I really had to shake off on my first few laps was the feeling of trusting the people behind you, because it was a weird feeling, because naturally when I'm on the road or on city streets, I don't trust anybody on the road. So for me to trust the guys behind me, it was a weird experience, but eventually you end up trusting your buddies out there in the later sessions. Now, I'm not going to go through all 4 sessions in detail just because I want to preserve some of the information that I learned out of the respect of TractionWerks. But even if I explained everything, it wouldn't matter. You cannot learn this by just watching YouTube. You actually have to go there and test it out yourself. But with that said, I'm going to talk about my last session only because I want to showcase the vast improvement that I made from the beginning to my last lap. You can definitely see the subtle improvement on how I attack the corners, hitting the apex, and then exiting at the right spot. So at this point, I felt pretty confident on the tracks because I've already done it probably at this point, I don't know, 50 times around the same course. So in my mind, I already memorized certain corners, the behavior and the characteristics of that corner, whether it's on an incline or a decline. And it really helped me gain that confidence on how I wanted to attack that corner during that particular lap. And it got to a point that I knew exactly when my peg was going to make contact with the pavement. So with that knowledge, I was able to go around the corners at a faster speed because I knew how far I could push the bike before it started to slip on me. And yeah, you can probably see the improvement between the 2 videos. Now, one of the things that I realized at the end on my last few laps was that I was extremely tired. Being on a motorcycle is fun. Going on a track is also really fun, but you are dumping adrenaline so much on this day that by the time you're doing your last lap, you're actually kind of glad that it's over because your body is pretty close to being shut down. And this is the reason why a lot of riders who's been on track will tell you to not ride your bike up to the track, because by the end of the day, you're going to be pretty exhausted, and it's safer for you to drive a car with a trailer on the back rather than trying to ride your two wheels back home. Now, after all that, what do I think about the course? Do I recommend it? Well, I am extremely glad I was able to have this experience. It was not really on my bucket list because I'm pretty risk adverse, and going on a track on a motorcycle is probably the last thing that I imagined when I bought my Sportster. But I got onto it and it was extremely fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it because I learned something out of it. Like when I was on the course, I did not feel any danger or intimidated by other riders that brought sport bikes. Like, I don't know, in my head, I envisioned that when I brought my bike to the track, that everyone's gonna just kind of look at my bike and just start chirping it hard, which I was ready for. But everyone was very supportive and was complimenting my willingness to continue even after scraping the peg so many times around the track. But yeah, it was a very good experience with other riders. Do I recommend this course? Hell yes. One thing of warning is that after going on the racetrack, whether you're on a course or just doing your first trial run, I'm warning you, when you get back onto city road normal riding, everything will feel lame. Like going on city roads where you have all these variables that could probably kill you and you can't trust what's behind you as well on city roads, the feeling of enjoying riding is not as clear and crisp as it was on the track. So I gotta kind of shake that off for now, and I'm sure the enjoyment of riding on normal roads will come back real soon. But the initial impression when I got on the regular roads, I can tell you it was a bit lame. But hey, I'm here to explain to you my first experience on what it was like to bring my Iron 883 on a track as a beginner rider. In taking this course from TractionWerks Moto Guild, I highly recommend any of you guys out there that are curious about this course or anything like this in your local area. Next time, if anyone's asking you what you want for your birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, say you want a track day with a cornering course, because it's going to be the best gift for yourself. With that said, special thanks to Jamie and the team from TractionWerks for allowing me to have this experience and be able to film and share it to the world. Ride safe, ride prepared, ride on.